Oh, man, I am pissed after the way that one ended. I'd imagine that many of you are as well. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers Postgame show. They didn't answer the bell, and now they're down 0-2 in the series. If you've hung out with us from the pregame throughout the watch long, if you're just joining us, welcome again. Rich Hofmann, Roy Burton, and I'm Devon Givens with you. Brianna producing, all of you in the chat. Wow. I mean, what can you say? 47 seconds left in the game. Kyle Lowry at the free throw line splits a pair. Sixers up 5 instead of 6. This is after he missed one a little bit earlier. They then come down. Jalen Brunson gets a nice, favorable bounce on a three-pointer. They cannot inbound the basketball. Then they cannot offensive rebound the basketball. And you get a big dagger three from Donte DiVincenzo to put them up by 1. And a few free throws later from OG Anunoby, and the Sixers suffer a crushing defeat. Kyle Neubeck and Derek Bodner will join us when available from New York. And remember, Roy from Fox Gambler hanging out with us, and we appreciate it. But we have a lot to talk with all of you about in this one. This one is going to be a long, rich couple of days until Game 3 on Thursday, and a lot of questions to go with it. Once again, including Embiid's knee and how healthy he'll be for that game, now down in the 0-2 hole.
Totally, and it's something you think about more now that they're going to need him. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I am still in absolute shock, and I need you. I need the chat. I need Bree. I need everybody to help me kind of make sense of that final minute of the game.
Yeah,
and there are just so many things where I think like, man, I'm pretty sure I saw Jalen Brunson grab Tyrese Maxey's shirt. But also, I saw Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris just stand there and let Hartenstein grab that rebound at the end. How on the scramble can they not at least fan out the three-point shooters and run them off the line? They just did so many things wrong, and I'm not sure they got help from the refs either. Devon, you were talking about it during the game. Kyle Lowry, 2 of 4 or 2 of 3 or 1 of 3 from the free throw line. Not good enough, man. Sorry,
2 of 4.
Sorry, it felt so long. Some of the plays to lead to the DiVincenzo, the Brunson 3, like DiVincenzo comes out of like a complete scrum with the ball. Like, how does that happen?
Right.
How does that happen? How does Brunson? How does that ball go in? That wasn't Kawhi's shot, but.
Wow, I didn't even think of that.
Shades of the Kawhi shot.
I didn't even think of that.
Maybe the magnets came down from Toronto because, again, that was shades of the Kawhi shot.
Wow.
In the group chat, because I wanted to reference that in the group chat, the friends, because this is one of those, the group chat is kind of going off today for Sixers fans out there, and I'm sure you guys in the chat are doing the same thing because I got the text already. Like, someone said in my group chat, this is the worst Sixers loss of my lifetime. Now, it's not for most of us because, again, we remember several other painful games. But again, this is very reminiscent of that Toronto game, with that Kawhi shot. But Rich, I just want to go back to something we talked about in pregame. Like, we said that this wasn't quite a must-win game, but given everything that happened and given the emotions of that game and given the way the Sixers gave that game away with 47 seconds left, that counts. To me, that's more than a single loss.
Totally.
That feels like more than
100%.
a loss. So it feels like the Sixers are down by more than 2-0 coming back to Philadelphia. So I said it wasn't a must-win, but now after what we saw tonight, it really, really puts the Sixers in a deep hole coming into this game on Thursday.
Roy, because it's deflating.
Yeah.
The way they seemingly had that game in hand, where you rightfully felt this, you should have felt that way with five-point lead despite the miss.
Right.
With 47 seconds. They missed, and you're looking at it saying, wow, these guys are going to get a rebound.
Right.
Have an opportunity. Or even on the inbound, call a timeout because you have one left.
Right.
And make the right decision. But we said it somewhere in the second quarter where we talked about the IQ. Down the stretch, the IQ also did not help. Rich just brought up the rebounding where Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid just stood there looking at each other of who's going to try to get this one.
Really bad.
Who's going to get this one?
Joel was really bad on the glass at the end of the game.
So who's going to get that one? All right, that one didn't go. All right, IQ. Again, You have some smart basketball players out there. We think Kyle Lowry, call the timeout.
Exactly.
You're running the baseline already.
Yeah, don't force
call the timeout.
Right.
All right. Tyrese Maxey on the floor. I understand the panic of the situation, but if you were listening in the timeout, you probably knew after you did not win that challenge that you had one left.
Yeah.
Call a timeout. Or, as Rich said, don't throw it to Josh Hart. And then Nick Nurse it looked like, at least on the replay, that he was running down the sideline trying to get the official to acknowledge him for that timeout. These are things that happen. You go back to the Hartenstein little baseline jumper. Now, yes, they did go up by 5 with an opportunity to push it to 6, but those little things just continued to add up where they kept making the play that eventually led to the game-winning three-pointer from DiVincenzo. Maxey getting a shot blocked by Hartenstein. He was going so fast. I mean, but we've seen him do that before where you can't question. I wanted him to have the ball, and I'm glad he had it. Yeah. I didn't want him to stop and pull up for a jumper. I wanted him to do exactly what he did, and he has typically made those shots. But man,
and
was
he kept
that
you
a
into the game.
brutal
So that's the thing. It's like you can't. I'm not upset
that was
with Tyrese
tough,
Maxey.
man. On that laying on the floor and not calling timeout. That wasn't a Chris Webber play, man. You had a timeout. You had a timeout. You have to call a timeout there. Have to call a timeout.
Guys,
he's speechless.
He's speechless. That's an all-timer. I mean, like, it's not the worst loss of this era because we know what that one was.
Yeah.
And there's there's 2 that come to mind.
There's a couple.
Those happened in game 7s.
Yeah.
Man, this is right up there, man. It's impossible to lose the way they just did. I mean, they just did. And look, there are screenshots of Nick Nurse calling for timeout when Kyle Lowry was inbounding the ball. There is a screenshot of Nick Nurse calling for timeout with Tyrese on the floor. I thought he was pretty late with that. And also Tyrese played hot potato. And it's such a bummer.
What was he doing with that?
Because I think he was trying to like throw it through Hart's legs to get it back to Lowry. It is such a bummer because this was Tyrese Maxey's flu game, right?
Yep.
And he was the best guy on the floor. And the shots he made down the stretch, we should be talking about that this is, the product of a guy taking another step up and just becoming one of the elite guards in the league. And we can't talk about it because it's the worst last minute I've ever seen where I sympathize with the Sixers a little bit, but they just did not do anything smart.
Matthew in here is saying, he did call a timeout. Refs ignored him. Tony's saying he did call a timeout. We said it. We called him, but you know who can call it too? The player can call the timeout. Yeah. Yes, the officials missed the head coach. The players could have also called the timeout. Both can be true here. Right? Am I wrong?
No, you're right. You're 100%
Rich,
right.
Am I wrong?
Right.
Both can call the timeout in that situation.
There is also a pretty good screen grab of Brunson just yanking Maxey's jersey before that ball even gets inbounded. I don't want to just blame the refs. They
were not good.
I think the Sixers deserve, at some point you have to play through it or whatever. Right. But the refs did not do a good job down the stretch. And frankly, with the whistle Jalen Brunson got all night, the idea that it just turns into complete prison rules down the stretch. And by the way, the Sixers have been terrible at inbounding the ball literally since I've been covering the team. Partially, it used to be Ben Simmons could get open, but he didn't want to shoot the free throws. So
he wanted to get the ball out of his hands as quickly as possible.
A hot potato.
Yes.
But now we're at the point where Tyrese Maxey's so good at everything, but he just doesn't do a great job of getting open. But I don't want to go too far in it because he got fouled on that play as well.
But here's the thing.
I don't know what to say.
I'm sorry. It should not have come down to that. I am sorry. This is an NBA team who, again, if you want to call it a must-win, you can call it a must-win. NBA team who was, behind the 8 ball to tie the series up 1-1, up 5 points with 47 seconds to go. It shouldn't have come to that point. You should never have been in that position where it comes to Tyrese Maxey needing to call a timeout in that situation in order for you to keep the lead. It just shouldn't have came to that point. The Sixers just got beat on the margin tonight. That's really what it comes down to. All the little things, the small things, especially in the fourth quarter, the Sixers just made minuscule mistakes that led to a big loss. As simple as that.
It's just a disaster. And it's just a bummer because it's just like the Knicks, they just keep playing hard. And they just keep
we never questioned the Knicks' effort.
They're just going to run through the tape, and you have to do it. You cannot just make mistakes down the stretch. You have to take it from them. Tyrese Maxey, you have to get open. You have to not panic there. I don't know, guys.
And
I don't know what to say. I know I'm not making sense, but the end of that game did not make sense.
Exactly.
And to lose in that fashion is absolutely inexplicable.
And here's the other part. Look, you guys are right that the officials missed Nurse calling timeout. One of the assistants was calling timeout, but that one doesn't count. The head coach is the one that's going to get the timeout.
Right.
The players are going to get the timeout. Even before, okay, Lowry could have called timeout, and when Maxey got the ball and he fell to the floor, he could have called a timeout. Yes, the officials could have blown the whistle where Brunson should have gotten a foul call, and Tyrese Maxey should have been on the free throw line, but he wasn't. So you still have to play through it. And even then, before all of that, when you make the play into Maxey, I also thought, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can tell me I'm wrong. That I thought Lowry also could have, as bad as Embiid is out there on the floor with the legs and he can't jump and all of that, you're going up against the 5-second clock then on the inbound. You don't want to lose the ball there either in that way. So I thought maybe if you're not able to get the ball to Maxey, toss it up to Embiid, where even if he doesn't get it, guess what? If they miss that obvious over the back by Hartenstein on the catch, then yeah, be pissed at the officials and still be pissed at the officials because of what actually played out. But I also thought there were a few different things that could have played out there to give them an opportunity to pull out. They just needed one point better than the New York Knicks tonight. Just 1 point. Lowry missed 2 free throws. He's probably beating himself up. He looked beat up because they had to help him off the floor to the bench because when he dove for that loose ball, everyone just dove on top of him and put all their body weight on him. So his legs are probably crushed and trying to get off the floor there. There were just a number of things that we have so much to talk with you all tonight. We're all ticked off about it. Roy was like, don't worry, this is a different Sixers team.
Mea culpa.
He was right until he wasn't. And that's not his fault. They let him down. They let all of you down.
They let Nas down.
They let everybody down. So look, both can be true. The officials should have called the call. The players should have called the timeout as well. And here we are now, the Sixers down 0-2. So again, when Roy says, it wasn't a must win. But when you add up how they now lost this basketball game and the manner in which they did, that takes a lot out of you. Now, the one good thing that they do have going for them is they have the extra day. It's not 1 day and then you play. They have 2 days and then they play. But you're still fighting against injury now with Joel Embiid. The man couldn't move. The man couldn't jump. The man couldn't move. The man was a decoy.
How many rebounds after the first quarter?
Well, he had 10 in the first half, right?
I think after the first quarter.
After the first quarter. Okay, he had 10.
He had
3.
He had 2 rebounds after that.
Yeah.
After either the first quarter or the first half, he had nothing. Down the stretch, man.
Nothing.
And
so again, hindsight. But in the moment, we were talking about the Paul Reed minutes just because of at least the act. He's mobile. He's healthy. Can he? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's not going to be a decoy like Joel Embiid is because of the offense. And yes, he will change shots at the rim. Well, Paul Reed, maybe he doesn't.
Right.
But maybe he gets the rebound. Maybe he positions and bodies out, and maybe he gets the rebound that while he's out there, because we have seen him do it when he has had that extended time. And man, the guy just couldn't move. Couldn't jump, couldn't move.
So 2020 hindsight, again, would you have, because we talked about it during the live game, would you have subbed Embiid out 4-minute mark, 3-minute mark when we were talking about that for Paul Reed? Would you have made that decision, knowing what we know now? Would you have made that decision? Because again, as Embiid couldn't move and all that stuff, but you saw how hesitant the Knicks were trying, because they didn't want any parts of Embiid going to the basket. Like they didn't try to attack the basket when Embiid was out there. So if nothing else, like you said, Joel Embiid is that deterrent in the paint to stop Brunson and stop Hart from attacking the basket. But knowing what we know now, would you have gone back and put Reed in around the 4-minute mark?
Yeah, when I brought it up, I considered it for that very reason that I probably would have done it. I mean, and how much did he impact? Because sure, the defense, to Rich's point, it was important.
Right.
However, he had no rebounds when they needed them down the stretch. And at least a healthy Paul Reed gets the hand on it.
He'll grab something.
Tips it.
Yeah.
Where maybe someone else snatches it out of the air. And that's my only reason. So to that point, why Nurse sticks with his MVP, but the MVP couldn't move. Oh, he's jumping like Zach Randolph, but Zach Randolph was just that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
He couldn't jump over a piece of paper tonight.
Right.
But Zach Randolph can tip the ball, and because that's what he was accustomed to doing. Joel Embiid, him and Tobias Harris, just that last one where Hartenstein got it and allowed them. That sucks, man. That really sucks.
I feel bad for everybody watching this and Sixers fans, man. Like, I like to see them do well because I like to cover.
It's fun to
playoff
cover
basketball.
when,
I have gotten a decent amount of the fandom beaten out of me from covering them on a consistent basis. But I like to see them do well. I just feel bad for everybody. There's no fan base of like a certain team that has just gotten their heart ripped out this many times. And it just...
And different ways, Rich. The ways that we always remember how.
And I just feel bad because that really sucks. The only thing that came to mind is, do you remember the Clippers lost to Oklahoma City in a game? It was like game 5 in a second round series. Might have been around 2014, 2015, where Chris Paul
the Kevin Durant
gave the ball up at the end of the game, or whatever. They had that game won. This was that. Probably worse, to be honest with you. The Sixers were even closer to winning the game. They're probably one inbounds pass away. I mean, the amount of things that the refs missed at the end that went against the Sixers, just bad bounces, whether it's Brunson's shot or, DiVincenzo getting that ball somehow out of the scrum. And the amount of things that the Sixers did wrong.
The flip shot, that little jump hook that he didn't miss in the fourth quarter, in the second half.
He did not miss a flip shot, Hartenstein. He made like 4 or 5 of those. And it's just, I feel bad for you. That's so bad. That is such a bad loss. Kyle Lowry missing those free throws too. It is hard to kind of put it all into context because there was just so much going on there.
And I was sure he was going to make those two
free,
on that second one because I said he missed he's been here before. He's going to knock both of these down and have to make it up. That 1 point would have been a big difference.
1 point matters.
Would have been a big difference because even if DiVincenzo makes that, you still have the ball.
Right.
And with 7 seconds to go right there.
I mean, Embiid misses 4 and Lowry misses 2,
Yep, absolutely. Bernard McCoy real fast here on the super chat says, Devon, I'm sorry. Lowry should have passed that ball to Embiid right in front of him. Lowry missed 2 free throws and passed to Maxey in the corner.
I understand that. I think it would have been pretty hairy trying to work out of that because as we talked about, and this is a big thing, guys, like Joel Embiid was moving so bad down the stretch of that game. Like he made a couple of shots. I mean, Devon was very unhappy with the process on a couple of those shots, and he got one to go. I mean, the one where he got the N1 on Hartenstein, that came out of absolute nowhere. It looked terrible. I mean, he's limping up and down the court, running to the corner. I thought Josh Hart, towards the end of that game when Maxey makes the 3 to put him up 4, I thought that was crazy that he doubled Embiid there. Like,
sure did. Yep.
I did not think Embiid taking a tough 2 to give Maxey an open 3, really dumb. I am like very worried about what they are getting from him the rest of the series, which is why, like, first off, who knows? Like, maybe you weren't going to get that much from him. Maybe this is not your year. But if you are trying to win this series, it felt like you even needed that game more because of how uncertain his health is moving forward, how uncertain his effectiveness and energy level is moving forward.
And just to get back to your point that you were talking about Maxey, we should be talking about Maxey tonight. We should be talking about, because he had that driving layup to tie the score in 94. He had that pull up that you talked about near the end of the game to give the Sixers the lead. And then he hit that huge 3 to put them up 4. That's who we should be talking about. We should be talking, like, the first 2 games of this series, Tyrese Maxey's been the best player on the court. And he did enough today. Again,
him and Josh Hart.
Him and Josh Hart. But, like, he did enough today, more, again, forget, the end of the game, but he did enough today to win you that game. That's the guy we need to be talking about. Like, we should, in a perfect world, in a bizarre world, we're talking about how Tyrese Maxey saved you the game tonight. Instead, we're talking about an 0-2 deficit coming back to Philadelphia.
Yeah, and again, we'll try to effort both Kyle Neubeck and Derek Bodner live from New York and just bring us into the arena as everything is falling apart in those final 47 seconds there. After that free throw from Lowry, no more points, right? No more points on the board. Yep, 101-96. Oh, yeah,
101-96.
101-96 after the second missed free throw. And, man, again, you just cannot You cannot make this up. So we'll get to them. There's a quote coming from New York right now where apparently when asked Joel Embiid about the inbounds to Tyrese Maxey, he just said basically effing unbelievable that the officials did not make a call, as you said he was pulling on the jersey. Okay.
He's as shocked as we are. I mean,
So Nick Nurse said he called timeout twice on that position.
We saw it. Yeah.
And as I mentioned.
Yeah, I'm not mad at Nick Nurse.
He did that. I do
on
think,
that play.
So I do think, though, Nick Nurse did, first off, he made an amazing challenge to get the Lowry play reversed. Because that took 2 points off the board and it got him the ball back. They score. But the next challenge, he lost it. And I think it was a no-hoper because OG did hook Lowry, but Lowry fouls him first.
He got him first.
So, I mean, Nick Nurse is like, he's probably more animated calling that last timeout, right? He probably thought in his mind a little bit, even though he did call timeout, like he's quicker to use it if he has 2 left there. Anyway, it just sucks. Like, I'm not even blaming Nick Nurse. It's just like every little bounce at the end went against the Sixers, but you also want to tell them, like, just make a play. Like, just make a play.
Just make a play. Like, the Knicks made plays.
Like, run DiVincenzo. And it's also...
You made your plays before the 47.6 seconds mark, and that's when you ran out of plays.
Yeah.
You ran out of energy.
And I know it's like, this is like easy to say in hindsight, but like Kyle Lowry on that, after DiVincenzo gets the ball off the scrum, Kyle Lowry runs at DiVincenzo, like leaves Brunson wide open in the corner. Like Maxey is guarding DiVincenzo. Bro, get back to Brunson. Like if DiVincenzo drives Maxey to the basket, you're up 3. What are you? I mean, they just completely lost their minds off those scrambles. And what did I tell you during the game? I was like, just make them shoot 2s. And they were like,
win the game.
They were like, we're going to give up rebounds and we're going to run in and be like, Hartenstein's going to kill us with a 2-pointer. And they gave up open shots. Now I know Brunson was a step back. Maxey recovers, but anything, one thing. They needed like 1 of 15 things to go right.
Exactly.
And they got none of them.
None of them.
Embiid, we should be 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
We are good. We're going to win the series. I'm glad he feels that confident. I hope he feels that way about his knee in general to be able to play to help them come back and win 4 of the next 5 games. I don't know how he's going to do that. Yes, they can. They have. But can they do that in this series? First, before we get to some of your super chats and your chats and hear more from Rich and from Roy, maybe even Bree wants to say something. I don't know. Everybody's got to say something about this one tonight. I got to tell you that this show was sponsored by BetterHelp. And I bet you need BetterHelp right now. You need it right now. A lot of us spend our times and our lives wishing we had more time. Or we have some things going on in our lives that are really up and down for you and frustrating. And sometimes when you're a big-time sports fan, like all of us are, many of you out there are as well, Bree also, that this affects you in a big way. You need somebody to talk to. And after you're done talking to us, that's not enough for you. Your wife is asleep, your husband is asleep, whoever it might be, your brother not answering the phone, your dad says, no, leave me alone, I don't want to talk. You got a friend that's a Knicks fan, and you feel like you need to talk to someone. Therapy can help you find what matters to you so you can do more of it because you just simply cannot deal with it. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Also, when you're looking at that, a lot of us spend our lives, again, wishing we had more time. The question is, time for what? If time was unlimited, how would you use it? Are you taking a day off tomorrow because you ticked off at the basketball team? Maybe you are. The best way to squeeze that special thing into your schedule is to know what's important to you and make it a priority. Now, I got to tell you, learn to make time for what makes you happy with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/PHLY Sixers today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/PHLY Sixers to make sure you get the help that you need. Oh, man. Go ahead, folks. Reach in there. BetterHelp. And then I got to tell you about a few more things here. I got to tell you about a few more things. Let's go to shaving. Now you want to cut your hair off. You're like, you know what? We need bald heads for the rest of the playoffs. Let's rally together. You know where I'm going, folks. I'm going to our good people from Manscaped. Yes, not just for below the belt, but also, you know, the razor for you want to clean the neckline, you want to clean your face, all that. But first, I got to tell you that this episode is also brought to you by Manscaped. Did you know 1 man every hour, every day is diagnosed with testicular cancer? In fact, testicular cancer is the most common form of cancer amongst men aged 15 to 35, with April being National Testicular Cancer Awareness Month. Our friends over at Manscaped have partnered with the Testicular Cancer Society to help spread awareness for men's health and early cancer detection. Visit manscaped.com/TCS to learn how to check yourself for early signs of cancer. And as always, you can use promo code PHLY for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. And I've told you in the past when speaking about Manscaped and the cancer, National, Cancer Awareness Month here, National Testicular Cancer Awareness Month, many of us, myself included, you out there in the chat, maybe you've dealt with family members dealing with cancer, and some have made through, some have not, and it's a tough, tough thing to deal with. Certainly going through the process, making it through is a great feeling, but then you're on the other side sometimes, unfortunately, where your family member or friend does not. With this in mind, you can perform simple routine self-checks at home while enjoying Manscaped products you use every day, like the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. It makes sense, right? We use products daily to trim and maintain our boys down there, and the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra features 2 interchangeable skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little bit off the top, and a new foil blade to go smooth and sleek. You can bring this trimmer wherever you go, too, thanks to its wireless charging capabilities and travel lock feature. In addition to providing the right tools and solutions for comfortable and easy grooming, Manscaped is committed to raising awareness and giving support for fighters, survivors, and families impacted by testicular cancer. That is why they will be donating $50,000 to the Testicular Cancer Society, help save lives and balls by going over to manscaped.com, TCS, and sharing their funny, educational check yourself video. And while you're at it, grab 20% off plus free shipping with code PHLY, because like a famous American philosopher once said, take care of your mentals, your balls, and your chickens. The Sixers needed to take care of the basketball down the stretch and rebound the basketball down the stretch. What else really stood out to you here, Rich, as we get into it a little bit more here? Guys will join us, Kyle and Derek from New York. But as you're scouring over there while we were doing our little commercial break, I know you have some nuggets over there that you want to focus on.
I mean, I just thought Tyrese was fantastic, right? Like he was a little quieter in the third quarter. I don't think he scored any points in that quarter. But I thought he just made the right play the entire night. Like, this guy was sick all morning, 35 points on 12 of 22, makes his threes, dishes out 10 assists, probably could have had more, like skip pass,
Yeah.
If they get better shooting from some of their, Tobias types, Buddy Hield, just disaster. I thought he was so awesome. And the reason that this is a bummer, and Roy mentioned this earlier, was that this was the guy down the stretch, like, what were they down? 8?
Yeah.
At one point? 7 midway through?
85, 78, yeah.
7 midway through the third quarter when Bogdanovich makes those threes. He was the best guy on the floor.
Yep.
Like he was the best guy on the floor. They also limit Brunson again, where, look, I think they've done an excellent job on Brunson. He's missing some easy ones. Of course, he makes this stupid one at the end that gets the Knicks over the finish line. But it's such a bummer because the Sixers have a guy who just continually gets better and continually gets better. And for a team that's had so many players that seems to shrink in the playoffs, we knew this guy was ready for the playoffs before he was even a good player. Game 6 against Atlanta, he wasn't even a good player yet, and he was ready for the moment, right? He was he was not afraid with the Sixers with their backs against the wall that time. And now he's improved in so many ways. Like we talked about that sick right-handed scoop shot off his right foot. Like he just has so many tricks. So if there is one thing I guess you can take from this is that this kid is ready for the moment.
Yeah.
I don't think he is going to back down. But it just, that makes it
Hurt that much more.
worse, right?
Yeah.
Because he did everything right down the stretch. He basically closed that game out.
Yeah.
And for all intents and purposes. And then we know what happened.
Yeah. I mean, the guy, 35 tonight, shot 50% from the floor, 5
15
threes.
in the fourth quarter.
15 in the fourth quarter. We said, can he muster it up in the clutch?
Right.
Does he have enough left in him down the stretch to close this game?
Right.
And he showed us that he did. And I mean, 35 tonight, 33 on Saturday. So the guy's averaging 34 points a game.
Like, what else do you want?
Yeah. And part of the question that we had coming into this series was, one of our questions was, is he ready for the moment to step up? And with Embiid hobbling the way that he was tonight, and us visibly seeing that, and we said, okay, these two are going to have to close the game.
Right.
Embiid couldn't. He just couldn't. Maxey did.
Mm-hmm.
And even though he had that issue at the end, he was fantastic. And that's what you guys are talking about. You feel bad for him playing the way that he did, questionable all day.
Right.
He has the flu game.
Right.
Right. All of that stuff. And it still comes down to this, where he was unable to make that final play, timeout,
Right.
And that has to be a gut punch for him, man.
And the team. I just want to kind of get back to the Embiid quote that you brought up before, Devon. I just want to, the remainder of the quote I think is a bit telling, because he says, quote, "We know what we got to fix. We did a better job today, so we're going to fix it, but we're the better team." And I don't disagree, and I don't think you guys disagree. I don't think most of the chat disagrees. But I do want to get to the point that you raised in the pregame show. Sixers lost to this team 4 out of 5 times. The Sixers are a better team than the Knicks, but maybe the Knicks just know how to play the Sixers. Maybe the Knicks, they do enough of the things around the margins to beat a better team. And we saw that tonight, again, especially in the fourth quarter, with the loose balls and with the bench scoring in the fourth quarter. Bench scoring, Knicks, 11 bench points in the fourth quarter, Sixers, 0. The Sixers just didn't do enough of the little things late in order to beat this team. I think the Sixers are a better team than the Knicks, and I think you would agree. But for whatever reason, the Knicks just do what they need to do at the crucial moments to win this game.
And then this one, they just simply needed to make sure that you get one in these 2 games.
Right.
Because, fine, you had a chance, as Joel said, to be 2-0. You probably weren't going to be 2-0.
Yeah, probably
You
not.
just get the one.
Get one.
You do what you do by gaining that home court advantage, by bringing it back home, even up at 1 apiece, have a couple of days off. So while I appreciate that, he might be right, but as we sit here, he's wrong.
Right.
He's just flat out wrong just because they're not.
They're down 0-2.
They're down 0-2.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't love that quote.
No. I appreciate you telling that, and your teammates may be hearing that, but you lost.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, you're down 0-2. And if you lose 2 more, you don't have next week.
Right.
You have the offseason, and you get ready for Team USA, because that's all you have left.
Yeah.
That's all you have left.
And it's just like, again, being confident and, I think the refs, I actually think this is a game where you can point to them and actually be frustrated with them.
Sure. Yeah.
And again, it sucks. But it is hard hearing that quote and I'm not just saying this is Joel's fault, but if you're the better team, play like it at the end of the game, right? Go get that, finish the game. Yeah, the refs made a bad call. Go get that rebound. How is Hartenstein getting that rebound? It's because he's playing harder. It's
Guess what? Not even that. Not even just that, because that was a theme from the second quarter on, right? How about when he's trying to dribble in between 2 defenders, 35 feet away from the basket, and it's a live ball turnover going the other way? You are the best player on the floor. You are the leader of this team. Mm-hmm. You say your team is better. Don't turn the ball over at that spot. You cannot turn the ball over at that spot and allow them to go the other way and get 2. You can't. So, yes, the rebounding, Rich, you're absolutely right. But then you compound that by a live ball turnover when you've been protecting the ball pretty well all night. You cannot do that. You cannot do that in that spot. You just can't. And what was the other one where we were saying that he passed it to? Who did he pass it to around the and was it Batum who had to fire up that 3-pointer?
Yeah.
Off balance. That was again Embiid not giving the ball up to Maxey, or even Lowry, for whoever had to take the shot that was a hot potato, but not Nick Batum that has two people draped on him falling out of bounds when he should have given the ball up when there was 7 seconds left, because you have no wheel. You have no wheel.
Right.
Your wheel is busted right now. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to get some fix-a-flat. And the only reason you were going to do that is having Tuesday and Wednesday to do that. You cannot overextend yourself for something that you physically cannot do. When you're being that decoy, he doesn't have that in him to make those types of plays right now. That's why we didn't want him making some of those pick and roll plays, because he couldn't roll to the basket the right way. That's why we wanted him to pop when they had the pick and pops in that two-man game. He made them, Rich, and you were like, yes, do that, keep doing that.
Right.
Look, these first two games have been,
Oh, man.
they've been every Joel Embiid playoffs. Like, there's three things that happen. Number one, he's hurt, so he's not as good as he is in the regular season. Number two, the real way that shows is that he is not as efficient. Like tonight, it's 12 of 29 from the field. Like he doesn't usually shoot under 50% during the regular season.
Yep.
That's like from like 2018, 2019. He is a more skilled player than that, but because he can't move, because Hartenstein and Robinson are just playing that jump shot, he's not quite as good. And then the third thing is that they can't function with him out on the court. Now, they did it a little weird tonight. Nurse gave him an early sub in the second half. He did not play him the entire third quarter. You know, there was a shot of him getting massaged on the bench. That was a rough stretch for the Sixers. So they're -6 in Paul Reed's 9 minutes. And I am not blaming Paul Reed.
No.
But
No.
it's just like, it's every element of that. And I think that middle aspect I'm talking about, him not being that efficient, it's just really clunky and really hard, right? And it's like, yeah, I think some of it is admirable of him scoring and, you know, continuing to fight, but it's not sharp. It's not the type of thing that we see from him during the regular season. It's just, it's a bummer. It's been his entire career, and I'm not sure he's changing it this year. Like, here's the one thing I will say. If the Sixers come out and get these next two wins, then that quote becomes pretty legendary, right? You know, if they
win the series,
if they show the
series,
yeah,
It has the feel of the Miami that you brought up earlier.
if they can come back like they did against Miami a couple years ago. But I said this on the watch along, right? When they lost to Miami, when they went down 2-0 to Miami a couple years ago,
That's the one, yeah.
he didn't play in those games, and they got their ass kicked in those games. So it was like, all right, we're getting him back. He's going to lift us up, and it was that kind of emotional jolt. This is very different. They were in both of these games,
And he played.
and he played. And so look, here's what we're going to see from the Sixers. Like, they have never beaten a good team in the playoffs. Never. The Knicks are not perfect. I don't think they're winning the title like these people in the chat are saying.
But guess what? They're the number 2 seed.
But they're pretty good.
Yeah.
They're pretty good. They would be the best team the Sixers have ever beaten. Show some gumption. Like, get yourself off the mat. If you actually believe you're the better team, like, come out with your hair on fire in the next game. And, you know, they're going to continue to play hard and go get 2 wins at home. But look, that it's easier said than done, because this was, I'm still like speechless, you know, it's tough. I know this has kind of been a meandering podcast a little bit, but I also
well, that's what happens when you blow a 5-point lead.
Totally.
47
what
seconds.
happened in the second quarter? I forget. Right. Yeah,
Exactly.
who cares?
Exactly. It doesn't matter anymore. So, you know, we obviously focus a lot on Embiid, a lot on Maxey. But again, there's a whole pie chart of blame to assign for tonight's game. So how much of this loss do you guys want to put on Nick Nurse? How much of this loss do you want to put on the bench? How much of this loss do you want to put on these role players? Because, again, like a lot of these role players tonight, especially, at least offensively, you didn't get a lot from Kelly Oubre. You didn't get a lot from Kyle Lowry. How much of the loss kind of goes on those guys?
A little bit.
Yeah. Oubre gives you nothing.
Offensively.
Defensively, did a good job. But if you're a two-way player that we've seen you be over the last couple of months, you need more than, what did he have tonight? He had 10 in game one. Tonight he had like 6.
It was 2 of 7.
He missed the layup that we talked about, where it was like, oh, you got to make that.
4. He had 4. Yeah.
He had to be better offense. When we talked about Tobias Harris needed to give you, what did he have, 7? And we said, give your average of 14, 15.
Right.
And you probably win that game because the game plays out a different way and you might win that game.
Right.
Oubre had 10 If Oubre had 10 tonight, they win the game.
They win the game.
Yeah. Be smart about it. He had picked up 2 stupid fouls.
Yep.
One in the beginning of the game. Then he picked up that second stupid one because he was pissed off that he didn't get the ball underneath the basket. And he just didn't feel like, I guess he wasn't involved in the offense. He didn't like a couple of calls that went against him. And he needed to play through that. And if he's also going to talk that talk the way that he did going up to New York,
good point.
You got to back it up. He backed it up defensively. But again, you needed to be a two-way player in order for this to happen. By the way, 215 J Philly says, the team makeup is the outcome of who we are. Then he follows up.
It's not my fault.
Listen to this. Then he follows up and says, I want Devon to look at all the teams in the NBA and look at their roster, then look at ours. I'll keep going because I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. And then he says, that Devon gives weak-ass excuses for this team. Keeps going and says, Knicks have a better team than ours. Bucks still have a better team than ours. Celtics, same thing, all that. You can't rebuild and have Morey and Brand doing it. Well, I don't know what you were listening to, 215 of J Philly, because where did you hear me make an excuse for the Sixers?
No.
I blamed the officials for not calling the timeout and acknowledging the timeout, but I blamed Maxey. I blamed Embiid. I've pointed at Lowry. We just talked about Kelly Oubre. So what are you talking about? You must have just tuned in and heard one piece. And I don't know what you're talking about. So maybe if you're going to be in the chat, you don't have to like me because I don't care. You know, I can't please everybody. That being said, if you're going to come with some stuff, come with some right information because you didn't hear what I said when, again, I came at Embiid, Maxey, Lowry, Oubre, and I even said Nick Nurse probably should have put Paul Reed in over Joel Embiid. Mm-hmm. Or we talked about campaign coming in the game. So quite honestly, I don't know what you're talking about. The beginning after that, the beginning after what? I just said I'm pissed because this team let a game slip away. And while they had an opportunity to win one of two, they should have just won one. So I don't know what you're talking about, man. You weren't listening. You weren't listening. And I appreciate you checking in, though. I always appreciate you getting in, though. I am getting emotional because you're saying something that I didn't say. Where
you've been pretty.
I've been the one that's been on their ass tonight. You know what I'm saying? So I wish we could send you a link so you can say what you said so we can go back and forth. That's why I like it. But hey, 215 J Philly, I love it. Keep coming back because I do appreciate it. This is barbershop sitting on the step talk where me and you just be going at it, and then we dap it up at the end, and it's all love. So it's all good. But they lost this game, and they should have won this particular game. Between the two, they should have won this one.
Yeah.
The way that they had a lead with under a minute to go, they should have won this one.
They should have won. Yeah, they should have won this one. Yeah, I don't disagree. Yeah, like last game, you get destroyed on a glass or whatever like that. It's just, again, you're an NBA team in a quote unquote must win situation. Up 5 points. I mean, you have to close this out. You have the best player on the court, maybe the best two players on the court. You have to close this out. This was the game. This was the game they should have taken. Excuse me.
Yeah.
The Sixers tend to file a complaint with the NBA.
I saw that.
Here we go.
Yeah, I saw that. It's not going to change anything.
It doesn't change anything, right? Yeah. So what's the?
It might help you in calls in the next game,
I guess.
But you're still going to be down 2-0 going into the next one. And if your big fella is not right, then how you going to win?
The last time they did it was right before Game 7 of the Boston series last year. They were talking about Game 6 and. Of course, Woj tweets that out like
I remember,
an hour before.
That's right.
And that kind of
before.
That kind of felt like loser ball. Honestly, I felt like Woj probably didn't want to actually tweet that out, but he's got to do that for Daryl and co.
Yeah.
I don't love it. I get it, but look, here's the thing: Sixers are going to get a great whistle next game.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. They're going to get
home whistle down 0-2.
An incredible whistle because. For a lot of reasons. These teams always get good whistles. But I don't want to hear that from the Sixers. They have to play harder. They have to play smarter down the stretch.
Just play smarter.
They have to do a lot.
Again, your phrase is the perfect phrase. Just run through the tape. Like that's really what it comes down to. Just run through the tape. You won the second. You won the third quarter? What, 30-21? Just run through the tape. You got to finish. You got to finish the job. They didn't finish the job tonight.
You mentioned the role players as well. I think just what stands out to me is that, man, the Sixers are somehow they're more shallow than the Knicks are. Like Tom Thibodeau, who plays every one of his players 800 minutes per game, and he did play Josh Hart the full game today,
which is
but
nuts.
But like, look, he had 3 guys off the bench. You got Bogdanovich with 12 minutes. All right, he played a little bit less, but you got Deuce McBride and Robinson basically as 20-minute per game players. The only guy off the Sixers bench that's getting real minutes is Batum.
Batum, yeah.
You know, Reed got a few, and Buddy Hield. I mean, he played 15 minutes. Like we talked about it in the first half. He had a couple nice defensive stops against Jalen Brunson, so I want to give him credit. Like they did make some of those hustle plays in the first half. Like Tobias Harris made some of those hustle plays in the first half, like getting their hands on balls, getting back in transition, those type of things. But Buddy Hield, like, I mean, just offensively, after those first couple games, he's just been a massive disappointment. They clearly don't know how to use him. He is not the gunner we thought he was going to be. Like, he's like almost afraid to shoot it. One of the 3, he took 2 threes tonight. One of them, you called it on the broadcast. It was like, he's way off balance. And it's like, it strikes me as like, he just is like completely lost within the system. And they've done a really poor job of kind of finding the role for him in this offense. And it's really hard to win with 6 guys, man. Mm-hmm. It's really hard.
Yeah. All right, man. Let me let some people know about, well, look, if you want to go to the game on Thursday, I have the place for you where you can get some tickets, and that is with our great friends from Game Time. Hey, 215J Philly, if you want to go to the game, listen to this, man. You can buy tickets to your favorite events. It shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets to all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you with killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee. You can stop stressing over all of the tickets and start getting hyped for all the fun that you are going to have. Flash deals on last-minute tickets. Easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. Images of the seat views of where you can purchase the tickets. And again, just a great place for last-minute ticket deals overall. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, baseball, basketball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your purchase. Your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And if you need to spend some money and save it to buy those tickets overall, I got to send you to our new partner, and that is our great people from TrueMark Financial Credit Union. When you join a credit union like TrueMark Financial, you become part owner, which means profits come back to you instead of going to shareholders. Better rates, lower fees, a better return on savings, and more flexible options with all the same digital tools and tech to make our lives easier. TrueMark has local roots, headquartered in Fort Washington with 24 branches. One of them I mentioned. I've seen it many a times. I'm going to pick my kid up from school and just being in the area myself, living in that area near Upper Darby. There's a TrueMark Financial in the Philly area there. They serve our community and our people right here at home. Becoming a member of a credit union has so many benefits over being a customer at a bank. It's a total no-brainer. Head over to TrueMark.com/PHLY to learn more or to find a branch near you. That's TrueMark.com/PHLY, federally insured by the NCUA. All right, let's get to some of these super chats because we have a bunch of them, guys, and let's run through some of these. Let's start with our good friend, Coach Lowell Ricketts here. Coach Lowell Ricketts says, Nick Nurse said he called timeout twice in the last sequence and the refs ignored him. Watch the replay, and he definitely did before they inbounded again when Maxey had it. Coach, we thought the same thing.
I see some people, I've seen other people, with the video, like, did Nick Nurse pump fake it? I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. The screenshots are tough, but it did look like he called for it. But I do think like he would have gotten the second one if Maxey had just held on to it for a second longer.
Yeah.
Like he really played hot potato with it. I guess, and it, like in some case it's understandable because he does not want Josh Hart to steal the ball there. But frankly, Devon, here's the big thing. Like Maxey's got to call timeout there. You're the one. You're the point guard. You got to know that you're in a really tough spot. You got the ball. You're on the floor. Josh Hart isn't there yet. Yell at the ref. He'll see you. Sometimes they're not paying attention to Nick Nurse. They're looking at you.
The ball. Yeah.
And look, he was fantastic tonight, but I do think there is some culpability there. And I understand people who are mad at the refs too, but I do think he could have handled that better.
Yeah. Also, can we add one more? As great as Maxey was tonight, we already outlined that. The play with about a minute to go, where it went off his leg.
Mm-hmm.
That was some defense, but it wasn't enough defense to really.
To force that.
That's an error. That's an error that happens in basketball, but it came at a tough spot right there.
Yeah.
He's got a great chance there too, right? He's going at Hart one-on-one. Like it's exactly what we wanted there, but he lost the ball. And that was
tried the Euro too. Yeah. He made it too. It was too obvious of what he was going to do, and then he got caught up. Ash Monroe, next, our buddy Ash. I'm walking out of MSG now. Didn't move out of my seat for 15 minutes. If you cannot inbound the basketball in the playoff game, you do not deserve to win. We saw that at the end of the season, middle of the season.
It's a recurring
against
theme.
Miami.
It's a recurring theme.
They have trouble, Roy, inbounding the basketball. Even with Nick Batum on the floor and Kyle Lowry on the floor, they have issues. As great as that play was against San Antonio, they hit Tyrese Maxey over the top for that running layup. They've had issues inbounding the basketball, and Ash is absolutely right.
What is that attributable to? What do you guys think that is? Because Nurse is a pretty good tactician.
Is it the off-ball movement they're not getting open enough to create the passing lane? I don't know.
I'm asking the question because I'm really confused because again, like you have a guy who's going to, I would presume, draw a good play. I mean, are you getting out schemed on inbounds passes? Like I really don't know. I don't understand why it's so hard for this team to, like as Rich said, to inbound the ball for like years. Like it's been years with this basketball team with multiple dozens of different guys.
And look, like when the Sixers had Ben Simmons, they were terrible at inbounding the ball. They were awesome in late games in terms of like forcing turnovers. He was great at that. They were long. They were jumping. I do think there is an element in the NBA that it might be a little bit harder for other teams than we're giving them credit for, but I just don't understand why the Sixers are so bad at it.
Yeah.
They're bad. They're bad at half court. They're bad under their own basket. They don't get open. I don't know. And it's funny, like they've made some mistakes in recent weeks with two guys that don't have the Sixers stink on them, right? Nick Batum and Kyle Lowry there, right? Like those are guys who I think rightfully we could say like those guys are proven winners in the playoffs, played 1 million games, really smart players. They screwed up.
Yeah. Alex McCoy, just simply before we get back to the Super Chats, Ben's had a total of 10 points, as you talked about. Outscored by 6.
Yeah.
And 61-20 in the series between the two games so far from the bench. 61-20. We already talked about.
And they got the normal Knicks bench game tonight. Like they weren't that good. McBride had a couple shots, but he was, 4 of 11. Bogdanovich 2 of 7. I know he made the 2 big threes, but he was invisible besides that. They got a lot of the regression of the mean outside of Josh Hart in the first half. But yeah, exactly, right?
Just to get back to your Hield point, though, maybe Hield's just not a playoff guy. I mean, there's guys in the league.
This is his first time being in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's his second game.
Yeah, second playoff game ever. Like, there's 82 game guys and there's 16 game guys.
Yeah.
And maybe Buddy Hield is an 82 game guy. Because again, you would theoretically like to have 8 or 9 guys like that you can go to, but maybe you only have 7 guys you can count on at this point. And if that's the case, then I don't know if you're going to win this series.
Yeah. All right. We'll get back to our Super Chats here in just a bit, but let's head to New York right now. The guys are ready to go. Kyle Neubeck, Derek Bodner. Fellas, this one, 47 seconds, Derek, to go. And it looked like, man, that it looked like they were going to be able to finally get one. And even if they just won by 1 point, Make it happen. Derek, what happened down that final 47 seconds, man?
Yeah. So no Kyle tonight. He has a train to catch, so he is on his way over to that. You're stuck with me.
We love it.
It was one of the most inexplicable losses that I've seen since I don't want to say it, but since that shot that Rich knows what I'm talking about because he was up there with me. I have not seen a playoff. I've seen bad playoff losses, certainly last year against Celtics, but this one was just completely inexplicable. And there's going to be a lot of attention paid, obviously, to the way it ended, to Nick Nurse trying to call a timeout, whether he was trying to get it, whether he should have gotten it, to Jalen Brunson. I thought, obviously, fouling Tyrese Maxey on the inbounds pass. I think that's probably the part that I think is more egregious than the timeout. I'm sure we'll get to that. But, man, Kyle Lowry missing 2 big free throws down a stretch and so many points they left on the board in the first quarter. Like, there were just wide open corner threes they were missing. Oubre, I think, blew 2 layups. Tobias blew a couple of layups. Joel Embiid went like 2 for 6 from the line in the first quarter. There were so many points that they put on the board. And a lot of times with these close games, I just go back to the beginning. This should not have been a close game. I think this was certainly one of them. The Sixers outplayed them for pretty much the entire night outside of a stretch there to start that fourth quarter. And they're coming away with an 0-2 deficit that's going to be real tough to come back from. And it's a really weird series because I feel like the Sixers have had the best player and the second best player in the series pretty comfortably, and yet they're in an 0-2 deficit. But just every single thing that could go wrong seems like it has up here in New York.
Derek, let's talk about one of those players because we have been podcasting here after watching that ending, whatever that was. So I've seen some tweets of kind of Joel's locker room scrum, but I assume you were there. What was he saying? What was the mood like? All that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it was mostly pretty much like these refs are ridiculous, and those calls were ridiculous. And he highlighted those the fouls that should have been called on Maxey more so than the timeout, and then a bit of confidence. He feels like they have outplayed them both games and they're going to win the series. And we will see. I think there's reasons like, yeah, they have outplayed them for portions of these 2 games. They certainly have put themselves in a chance to win this game. But the reality is they're down 0-2, and you can be the better team from here on out. You still have to find a way to win 4 out of 5, and that's tough to do against a quality opponent, which New York is. I think the old saying that the series doesn't start until a road team wins a game, I'm not sure that's necessarily the case, because if you're the lower seeded team and you want to try to steal a series, winning one of these 2 on the road is key to doing so. They're in a real tough spot. But Joel Embiid came out and he projected a bit of confidence. He certainly stood up for his teammate in Maxey in trying to get that foul call, and feels like the team deserved better.
Real quick on Embiid, I guess, I don't know if he talked about this, but I guess the reason that's hard to believe that from him is that for a bunch of reasons, obviously Sixers related, but the main one is that he looked like he was really moving slow at the end of that game.
Yeah. And look, I think even more so than being gassed, I think he just doesn't change direction all that well right now. I think you see that at times in the rebounding battle as well. I don't think it's just being tired or effort. I think he also is struggling to elevate, struggling to change direction quickly. And I think that's impacting both in pick and roll coverage and in rebounding. And this was another game where, in the first half, I think they only gave up 2 offensive rebounds in the first half.
Yep.
New York got a bunch of them down the stretch, including some very key killer ones. Look, Embiid's not at 100%. I'm not sure he's at 75% right now. That is a very serious issue for sure.
So, Derek, we were talking before about how the bench has been absolutely destroyed by the Knicks bench in this game. Maybe we pontificated. Maybe Buddy Hield isn't a 16-game player. Maybe he's an 82-game player. I need something positive to hold on to. Does something change with the bench coming game 3? Do we get a campaign? Do we get somebody else to give this team some energy in that second unit?
Yeah, look, I have always been a little skeptical of whether or not you can put Tyrese Maxey next to Campaign and have that hold up, especially in the playoffs. I think New York, with their physicality, I don't think that's necessarily a great matchup to bust that out with either, but I do think you need a little bit of anybody else to give you something off the dribble, because right now, if Tyrese Maxey or Joel Embiid aren't creating it, then it's not getting created. There are just no good shots being created outside of those 2. I do think that I like to give Tobias Harris some credit here for this game. I thought his defense in the fourth quarter was phenomenal. I thought Kelly Oubre had some moments defensively as well and has been really good throughout the entire series defensively. but you need more contributions from not just your bench, but like you need more contributions from Kelly Oubre. Like you need him to have a big game or two. And he had some really makeable shots early on in the game, like I said earlier, that he has to convert. They just need more from their role players pretty much up and down the roster outside of Lowry there in the first game. And Lowry had his moments down a stretch as well, but just more consistency. I mean, I'd probably throw Campaign out there just to see. I do think that makes what they're trying to do with Brunson a little bit difficult. But at this point, you're getting to the die another way portion of the postseason.
And even with that, just kind of going back to the Embiid piece there, Derek, as we were watching it here during the watch along, where it was so noticeable of how he could not move out there on the floor, offensively not really involved, a bit of a decoy because he was actually setting up in the corner if he wasn't setting a screen and handing off the basketball to someone else. I had the idea of asking the guys of, hey, should you, because he is at least capable of moving for those final 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes actually, look to Paul Reed just because you were getting nothing from Joel Embiid basically on either end.
Yeah, you weren't getting much from Paul Reed protecting the rim either earlier in the game. They were attacking him pretty hard. No, I like towards the end of the game, I think you've still got to keep him in there, even if he is struggling physically. No, I mean, Nick Nurse I don't think he would ever do that.
What else we got? How about this bozo complaint they're putting? Got anything else on that?
Which bozo complaint are we?
Their formal
talking about
to the league, the grievance.
I actually haven't seen the grievance. Did that come out in the last couple of minutes here? A formal grievance?
They're planning to file a grievance with the league.
Yeah, that makes sense. I certainly thought that was in the plans. I just didn't know if that. Okay. Look, in terms of the timeout, I think and Nick Nurse sort of like joked in a complaining sort of way of like, what do I need to run out on the court? If Tom Thibodeau needed a timeout, he would have been at center court right in that ref's face. Yeah, if you want a timeout, I think you got to run out on the court and call a timeout. And I haven't had a chance to really go back and look at it. He was clearly at various points trying to call a timeout before inbounding the ball. It looked like he was maybe second guessing himself a little bit. Again, I have to go back and sort of rewatch it. And then he clearly tried to call a timeout after the ball was inbounds. But at some point you worry about, are they going to give Maxey possession of that ball? If he wanted a timeout, I think he needed to be more forceful. And I think the refs also need to see that. I think they need to, you have to be looking right at him because teams frequently call a timeout in that spot. But yeah, Nick, I think you got to run out there at center court. And if you really want that timeout, make sure they give it to you. It's just a real shitty way to lose a game. It's a real shitty way to lose a game. But again, I feel like I have to go back and rewatch it because I've seen some people say he was clearly calling a timeout. I see some people say he looked like he was second guessing himself and pulling back on the timeout on the inbounds pass. I haven't had a chance to really go back and get a great look at it. But look, they're not going to change the outcome of the game. You're just going to complain about it.
I know. And that's why, on the one hand, I agree with them because I do think there are some things that they can actually be mad about during that final sequence because none of it went their way. On the other hand, it's like, I don't want to hear about it,
Inbound a fucking ball. Like, come on. Like, how does this always seem like it happens to them? Actually, like I said, I actually think the bigger complaint is Brunson grabbing on Maxey and grabbing his jersey and preventing him from running. I think that is I'm very curious to see what the 2-minute warning or the last 2 minute.
Same thing.
Yeah, it's
the last 2 minute report says.
These officiating crews, they don't call, they let some stuff go, but they really let the tug of the jersey go. Yeah. They just don't care about that. That's most obvious call in basketball.
If I was the Sixers, that's the one that would annoy me even more than the timeout.
Yeah.
Look, I also thought Kyle Lowry could have called timeout on the inbound once he really couldn't get a good angle to throw it to.
I was stunned they didn't. They had nothing going. I was very surprised that there wasn't a timeout.
Yeah, I thought he at least could have called the timeout first and prevent that since they had one more left and Maxey laying on the floor, all of that. Well, Derek, we'll be back tomorrow at 2:30, and we have a lot to discuss with this one because, man, oh man, you have been in the building for that game a few years back and now in the building for this one. There's still games left to play in this one at least where they have an opportunity to try to clean it up and still fight back and win this series, though. So
I have seen some heartbreakers up close and in person. Yes.
we appreciate it, man. Be safe getting back, and we'll see you tomorrow at 2:30 right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. Thanks, man.
Sounds good. Take care.
Make sure you go read the guys' work at allphly.com. Rich, you're going to have some stuff up there maybe over the next couple of days. Make sure you go read Rich's work as well. Sign up while you're at it as a diehard member so you can get all the great work from Kyle and Derek and Rich and Bo and Zach. NFL draft coming up here.
Yes, sir.
In 3 days to start things off. The Birds still have the 22nd overall pick, so we'll see about them. Charlie O'Connor writing a lot of post Flyers stuff there. So make sure you go sign up to become a member of the Diehards. You get an opportunity to be with us at events, 20% off, merchandise. You get a T-shirt. Nice. You get alerts, of course, heads up when we get to do some special things out and about in the public, and you get the great work, again, from these gentlemen, Rich and the guys, writing again at allphly.com. And while you're at it, make sure you come and hang out with us on Sunday, 12 noon, as we get ready to hang out at Wicked Wolf for a watch party. Are they going to be tying the series up?
We hope so.
For the watch party and a live show, Philadelphia hosting New York for Game 4, Sunday, April 28th at noon. Wicked Wolf is the spot. It's presented by Coors Light, and hopefully they'll be looking to even up the series and get back at it for Game 5 in New York. So hopefully we see you there. We'll tell you more about that as we go along. Let's get back to the Super Chats. Before we get to the Super Chat, anything stand out?
All I want to say is I am looking forward to Rich's newsletter tomorrow because it's going to be fantastic. I'm sure all the things that we probably can't say on these airwaves are probably going to be in that newsletter tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, it might just be Roy. I might just put some gifts in there and just let that do the work.
Just
tomorrow,
let it
man. This was inexplicable. Although I will say, over the past year, we have seen some doozies. I've covered some losses in the other sports on the newsletter, and I mean those Phillies NLCS losses, but this is up there. Yeah. It's not good.
You can talk about the Phillies winning and Ranger dealing again tonight.
Sure,
you can talk about that.
I'll make it positivity. I'll just pretend this didn't happen. Right, 90% Ranger Suarez.
He's 4-0.
Right? Yeah,
he's 4-0.
Phillies on fire.
Phillies 6 in a row, 7 in a row, 7 in a row.
Seven.
Yeah, something like that. All right, let's get to the Super Chat so we can actually get these guys out of here, get Bree out of here. Cannoli, holy cannoli, what the hell happened? Nurse said he called a timeout twice. Refs ignored.
Yeah, we know. Sorry, cannoli.
Let's go to the next one. Have yet to see Maxey establish a good...
Or Morey.
Oh, Morey, sorry. Morey established a good roster. We thought the Buddy Hield move was good.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
Until it wasn't.
Well, I mean...
And he's not calling campaigns number where...
Yeah.
Right.
He might give you something. We just don't know because he hasn't called his number.
I mean, I think that's the part that's kind of hanging all over this. Like, he didn't try to assemble the best roster he could this year. He wanted to keep that cap space open. That's why he started with Pat Bev and Mo Bamba and Kelly Oubre on 1-year minimum contracts. Like, when you don't want to use any cap space next year, you have to shop in kind of a different aisle. And frankly, getting what they've gotten from Kelly Oubre on that minimum contract has been excellent.
Fantastic.
Like, he drives me crazy sometimes, but the guy is making a minimum, so that he's doing a great job there. And the same thing with Buddy Hield, right? Buddy Hield, they gave up, what was it, 3 second-round picks?
Yeah.
It was 3, yeah.
2 second-round picks. But again, he did not want to put any of their premium picks in there. They're going to have a lot of stuff they're going to be able to trade. I'm not saying he's right to do this, but the thing that is frustrating is it feels like they should have enough. Right. But the Sixers, unlike the Knicks, they didn't give Donte DiVincenzo. The Knicks gave Donte DiVincenzo, I think, a 4-year...
$50 million deal.
$50 million. They weren't going that far.
They should have. He was available.
I'm with you. But that...
Because of the fit next to Maxey, most importantly.
Right.
And even if you're moving DeAnthony Melton to the bench, guess what? Melton was already dealing with the back injury from last year where maybe you want to protect yourself because you're not going to pay him next summer. And maybe you would have traded him at the deadline. So, yeah, that one was tough because I know at the time, talking to a lot of people, you're like, Donte DiVincenzo is a good fit next to Tyrese Maxey if he's going to be a lead ball handler and you're trading James Harden. So that was one that you see how it's paying dividends for the New York Knicks.
And this has been my whole thing with Morey this year. He better be right. This better be a good team next year, man.
Yeah.
And hey, man, you get knocked out in the first round.
You better be right.
You got to take that one on the chin.
Absolutely.
And take everything that comes with it. Next up, Miracle for Molly. It's our friend Greg, again.
Okay.
Knicks fan. But, of course, Miracle for Molly is a great thing going that we talked about on Saturday for his daughter. Miracle for Molly here. As a New York fan, it feels great to be on the right side of a crazy ending with Philly. Of course, the Giants games.
I like it more when it was Deshaun Jackson
and Brian Westbrook. Yeah,
we'll give you this one.
Yeah, let's hopefully they can tie the series up and you can fight back a little bit. Front running fan base. All right, bleeping refs, fraud fans. We will win the series 4-2. Oh,
seems like he's echoing Joel Embiid stats. I don't know about what he said about the fans, but you know. It was generally Joel's comments.
Effing refs and the fraud fans. Okay. You said it. So have at it. Have at it. Davon, a.k.a. Schoolboy Beats. Thanks, front running fan base. Nurse, still playing Tobias in the fourth quarter? Question mark? No Reed with Embiid? No Cam? No KJ? Will Maxey get a whistle? Can Hield make a three? Find out next episode.
Dragon Ball Z. Nice. That's good. That's a good one. You know what? Maxey doesn't really get enough calls. I mean, I don't think
he gets all-star calls.
I don't think he gets he should.
He's earned them by now.
I think he's earned those calls at this point. So yeah,
and he does go to the contract.
Right. Yeah.
As far as the KJ Martin, some energy, some rebounding there.
Something.
Maybe. I mean,
something. My God.
I mean, we can't call for Rick and not call for KJ Martin. If you're just talking about energy, maybe you can get a few boards in there from time to time, especially if you're not getting anything from the other guys.
It's got to be somebody, and I think I would do Rick, and I would just tell him, like, just run around, just fuck some shit up, you know.
You're gonna pick up some fouls,
like literally,
but it's okay.
It's all right. You got 6 of them. It's cool.
Like, get the crowd going, get them on our side, just play hard. You need something to change the energy.
Hey, Nick, go get him, Rick. Put him in the game. Thank you, Schoolboy Beats. We appreciate it. Martian Lynch, 33. I think I'm at the acceptance stage of grief.
Ooh.
I know some people are probably there.
It's two games. Again, as we said, and Derek kind of disputed it, but the series doesn't start till the road team wins. The Knicks just held serve. Let's just, let's be positive.
I just don't know what Embiid has left, man. How more times can he do this? One of our questions was, will he be healthy enough to win 2 series? 2 series. He's scraping to get out of 2 games.
Yeah.
So.
And you got close to superhuman efforts from Tyrese Maxey, given his illness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's gonna
be rough. Embiid had 34, 10, and 6. But no rebounds after the first quarter?
Yeah, he had 8 rebounds in the first quarter and three after that.
Just like a classic Embiid game where you can point and you can see the stats. Like, look, he's playing hard, and of course he's injured and stuff like that.
And the 34 was legit.
Yeah, a legit 34.
No, he was the only thing they had going in the third quarter. But also there are things to nitpick, and it doesn't look the same as the regular season. Right? And unfortunately, that's what this has been for a long time. And we'll see. I mean, I'm not can't write him off yet, but through 2 games, it is what that has been as well.
Let's get to MC here. No more Harrison Hield on the court together.
Sure.
Why not?
Harris played better tonight.
He's fine. It only give you 10 points.
4 for 11, only 10 points, 9 boards. He legit crashed the glass again.
Right. Crashed the glass. Very good defensively. Got his hand on a couple balls early. Really, really good defense in the fourth quarter.
Missed the layup we thought he should have made.
Yeah.
Driving layup.
Yeah. I don't have any huge issues with Harris, but I think it comes down to Hield. Like how many playoff adults do you have in that rotation? If you only have 7, then I don't think you can win the series.
Can he make McBride Bogdanovich shots at home?
Yeah.
Like we talked about with Jack on Saturday.
Right. Rich
talked about it during the watch along. Can he make those shots at home? Will that make a difference? Role players typically do. He's never been there before. But, man, he looks bad.
Yeah.
He looks bad. Final one, Mr. Rudy Poo. Maxey is showing he is a number 1. We need to get him a solid and available number 2 in the offseason. No cap. He's still a number 2. He's number 2.
He's
and that's not that's not a bad thing.
He's an incredible
he's still
number
an
2.
all-star, and you're in the conversation as an all-NBA guard, but he's a number 2. And yes, he is elevating his level of play when they need him to. But man, he needed to call that timeout and not dribble the ball off his leg in that transition.
Totally. And the one thing I will say about Maxey too, because we talked about Simmons, we talked about James Harden during the watch party. Maxey is the first guy that's played with Embiid that feels like he's good. Like he is made for playoff basketball. He's unpredictable. He can catch and shoot, like you said, can beat you in a number of different ways. Whereas with Ben Simmons, like literally couldn't shoot, and Harden was not versatile enough, right? Like if he didn't have his fastball, he didn't have any off-speed pitches. And I think Maxey, although he doesn't really throw that many off-speed pitches on the court, can beat you in a number of different ways. So look, if you want to take one positive, that kid is going to be really good for a while here. Go max him out this year, and I'm excited to watch him moving forward.
And he still has an opportunity to still be that good in Game 3 upcoming.
Sure, absolutely.
Game 4, and see where things go from there. We have a lot of people to thank, not only just from the pregame, but the watch along, and certainly here tonight. Even when we fight, it's all love from me, just because of the passion that we all put out there, not only with our jobs. We still are fans of basketball. We may not be rooting for the Sixers. We would like to cover a deep playoff run.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
That'd be nice. So seeing them win there, that would be beneficial for us and certainly for you. So we have a lot of people to thank. Let's start with the real level midnight. Nice. Alex McCoy, the 2-minute warning. What up, Al? SLR, Doug Craig, Martian Lynch 33, Kyle Wright, Jay Ing, Prophet 1, Winona. What up, Nona? Rick Morris. Nice. 215 J Philly. My brother.
It's all love.
Money Mar MC. Remo K. Gene Ross. What up, Gene? Cannoli. Nice. Again. Martian Lynch 33. Trons. Man. Khalil. What up, Lil? We have so many people in here tonight that is crazy. Phi Chi. Brian Knight. What up, B? Who else? We had a lot of people jumping in here all evening long. Sean checking in as well. Wreak Havoc. Everybody spending time. Mr. Rudy Poo, Boston Scotto, and so many more. Val was in here. I saw Sal. G, she was in here. Thank you, G. Especially we missed you the other day. Thanks for being back in here. And let's get to our super chats. Brian, again, thank you. Really appreciate it. Miracle for Molly. Thank you, Greg. Front running fan base, Davon, a.k.a. Schoolboy Beast, Martian Lynch 33. Once again, what up, Martian? MC, Mr. Rudy Poo. Ash Monroe, what up, Ash? Coach Lowell Ricketts, what up, Coach? We appreciate everybody hanging out with us. If you haven't already, go like and subscribe to our show. We're here with you every day, 5 days a week. Post-game, non-game days, we try to be as present as possible with you, of course, in-game, social media, all of that. So we thank you. Like and subscribe. Hit the like button. As always, if you haven't, tell a friend and tell another friend and tell the other friend to make sure that they do so as well. We can continue support coming our way will be fantastic. Make sure you read allphly.com and sign up as a diehard so you can read the newsletter from Rich and check out the post-game stuff from Derek and Kyle as well. Get ready for the NFL draft with Bo and Zach. And when you do sign up and subscribe, you'll get that bell icon to alert you that the show is upcoming. And that's what it sounds like right there. Thank you, Bree. As always, thanks from hanging out, the pregame, the watch along, and now postgame. Rich, as always, good to see you. I'm sure we'll be back together again for one of these games upcoming, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
And Roy, thank you so much for these last 2 days, man. It's been a blast.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Make sure you check out Roy at Fox Gambler as well to hear his work. And as always there. And we'll be back tomorrow at 2:30. Damn, quick turnaround in the event again. By the way, I'll be on the Anthony Gargano show tomorrow morning at 9:25, I think, to say something. I don't know. Everybody, have a great night. Thank you so much. Thanks to you guys. Thank you, Bree. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 2:30.
We all silly like the mayor.